Hey there, folks. Welcome back to the Inside Line F1 podcast and Pits To Podium. And yes, we just discussed about Verstappen, about Hamilton and his 100th win, what the situation and the occasion is like for Max coming out and potentially taking out vengeance. But right now, I have to discuss one point that's been ringing on my mind for the last couple of weeks. And it's very similar to what we've seen at Hungary before. Cast your mind back to 2007. I think, which probably has to be one of the most emotionally involving championship battles that we've ever seen between Hamilton and Alonso. Hungary 2007, we saw the infamous qualifying fiasco happen within the McLaren team, and that was where you saw emotions trumping up common logic. The sense of getting one up over the other. This thing that they call one-upsmanship, right? That we always see in Formula One between a Senna and a Prost, between a Häkkinen and a Schumacher. But it's not got that emotional in the last few years. It did with Rosberg. We didn't see it tip it over on the circuit. I think, Kunal, we should be on red alert in Hungary. This was one of the most engaging moments that we've seen in Formula One emotionally for the last few years. And Verstappen as well. He was so involved in it. We saw what he had to say about the crash as well. In case we get any shenanigans, there's a good chance we might not, because of course Formula One drivers have evolved. They're a lot less emotional in their track-based decision making. But if there's any race where we should be on red alert, this is the one.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And like I said, why Hungary is even more like the perfect place for their bout to resume. But guys, also remember the first round in this whole bout and the whole effect of the crash on the championship challenge and so on will be felt in the Friday free practice sessions because Honda are actually going to use the same engine that Max crashed with in the British Grand Prix. They reckon that it should be fine, but they will run their tests, they will run their procedures before before understanding if Max needs to take a penalty. If so, will it be this Grand Prix? Will it be at another one? So apart from just the $1.8 million of cost towards the crash that Christian Horner has been going on and on about, it's also going to be in terms of grid penalties that could affect Max Verstappen's title battle against Lewis Hamilton.
But Kunal, seriously, do Honda build tanks as well? Can the engine actually survive a 51G impact? I don't know. That is just amazing. But do you think we're at this age, Kunal, where Formula One drivers will take decisions more emotionally on the track? It used to happen in the past. We saw what Alonso did 10 odd years ago. We recorded this on his birthday, by the way, so it wouldn't be a good idea to say anything bad about him. But still.
You never know. The stakes are so high, right? That at the end of the day, emotions could just get the better of some drivers. But and could it be Lewis Hamilton this time? You never know that, right? So it's so touch and go, and it's been so close, and we hope it remains this close because this is where the battle, this is where the fun has always been. Guys, remember, France, the two races in Austria, Baku was when Red Bull had a clear advantage, and then there wasn't really as much of a battle. But I really hope these small upgrades that, Mercedes doesn't know that they're bringing to the car, and the ones that they keep saying Red Bull are bringing to the car, they keep coming, they keep the two teams as close in battle as they can be, Soumil.
Exactly. You thought that the only fencing going on at a high intense level is at the Olympics right now. It's going to happen here as well. They will be fighting hard this time out. I'll tell you who will also be fighting hard. There's going to be a lot in the midfield. It could be Ferrari, but there's this big question, Kunal. We always just end up wondering this year. It's been so varied. It's been so diverse. Which prancing horse turns up this weekend? Is it the well-fed one or is it the lazy one that's still sleeping? You can't tell with Ferrari this year because they did so great wonders at Monaco and Baku. You thought that Silverstone will be bad. It's the complete opposite, but they ended up almost winning that thing. I don't know what's up with that team. It's a bit perplexing, very Ferrari-esque in a way.
Very Ferrari-esque. Yes, absolutely. That's the word. We all hope that it's the well-fed one because, when they are in the fight, especially with McLaren just about there as well, and Lando Norris is going on and on about how they didn't expect to be battling a Mercedes for most of the British Grand Prix as well. So with Ferrari in the mix, with even McLaren in the mix, suddenly things just get that much more fun in the top 10, Soumil. So, it's at the end of the day, Carlos Sainz, more than Charles Leclerc, has been my driver to cheer for. Not for any, passion reasons or personal reasons, but just the way in which he's settled in and the way in which he's gotten comfortable with that Ferrari and so on. And I was pulling out some stats, and for most of the teams, it's the number one driver or the senior driver that's done over 60% of scoring in the Constructors' Championship points up until Hungary. But for Ferrari, it's actually almost close to 50-50. And that's what, Charles Leclerc and, Carlos Sainz, they've been so evenly matched. So I'm also excited to see their inter-team battle out there.
No, 100%, 100%. Carlos Sainz has been superb. When you put that into context, we often speak about giving Perez time for adapting to the Red Bull, for giving Vettel time for adapting to the Aston Martin. Here it is, Carlos Sainz coming in and hitting home runs already. He has been mighty good. But Kunal, I'm going to ask you a question that Ferrari themselves don't know the answer to. Why are Ferrari so varied in their performance? Why are they so here, there and everywhere in that case?
I really wish I knew. I wish they knew. I wish someone knew that, right? But here's a very, very interesting stat about Ferrari that I was reading about and I came up on, and I checked the results for this, right? So the Hungarian Grand Prix has been around since 1986. Now we already know that, right? But here's the fun thing. It was only in 1999 that Ferrari saw both their cars take the checkered flag. They saw both their cars finish the race. So 13 seasons where they actually had one car not seeing the checkered flag. Can you believe that?
I mean, it's the 1980s, right? It's the 80s level reliability that we all end up knowing. It was a different era, but 13 years in a row, that is, well, what can I say? That's just bizarre. That's just what it is. That's why I love the Hungaroring, right? Just throws up things at you. Who could have imagined stuff like that happening? Who could have imagined, for that matter, all the great battles that we've seen here over the last few years as well? It's a curveball. It's not conventional, but as you mentioned, it's a big go-kart. I like it. It throws up these sort of elements. Gotta love the circuit.
It is, and it's got so much history. It's just not spoken to in the same breath as Monza or Monaco or Belgian Grand Prix or the likes. But it was the first race behind the Iron Curtain.
Yes,
and it's so much history behind that as well. One of the other things that we will keep hearing time and again, and I actually heard this from at least 3 to 4 drivers, is how much they enjoy driving at this circuit, especially the second sector, which is from turns 4 to turn 11. It's fast flowing. It's a very active sector. You're constantly doing something, and this is where the driver sort of makes a difference. And it's, while it may not be a great spectacle for us without, all the overtakes and so on happening, I'm sure the drivers are going to have a great time this weekend, Soumil.
It's what I say whenever we're racing GTEs on the sim. They're big machines, by the way. Each overtake may not be as great in volume. I mean, the overtakes may not be as great in volume. What I mean to say is that you might not see many of them, but each of them counts so much more. Imagine Hamilton's pass on Verstappen back in 2019. What Barrichello and Schumacher did 10 or 11 years ago now. It counts and it matters so much more here at the Hungaroring. And speaking of it being a great circuit for drivers, just after this is done, of course, watch the onboard lap from Lewis Hamilton taking pole position at Hungary last year. It was so good it didn't even sink in. It's that crazy.
Absolutely. When Lewis is on flow, especially on that one lap pace, it's incredible, Soumil.
Yeah, 100%. Now, finally, before we go off, we have to speak a little bit more about the other drivers in the midfield, about the other teams, the other stories, and saying it as other might make it look like a bit irrelevant, but this certainly isn't this time, Kunal. George Russell could potentially have a shot. We've spoken about Ferrari. McLaren could very well be in the mix this time. They've shown themselves to be quite a versatile team in that aspect, but Daniel Ricciardo says that he feels rejuvenated. I'm paraphrasing, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I mean, McLaren has definitely surprised all of us, and we've kept saying this. And the next thing we also say after we talk about McLaren is that Lando Norris has kept surprising all of
Yeah.
us for all good measure, right? And talking about Ricardo, he actually had his season best finish at the British Grand Prix. So it's understandable that he's feeling the way he's feeling, Soumil, right? And a very, very interesting stat. Again, this came up during today's press conference. Daniel Ricciardo is the highest placed driver in the Drivers' Championship to have not stood on the podium this season. So a bit of an ouch moment for me when I actually heard that. But trust Daniel to be the guy who will actually bounce back. And it's great to see. It's great to see McLaren recover, and now it's going to be even more fun to see Daniel recover and sort of find his way closer to Norris, or maybe even ahead of Lando Norris should that happen this season.
Yep, who knows? And who knows, maybe if Daniel Ricciardo can take that car from pits to podium. Had to say that once. It's been a year since we started. I have never said that. So there goes my free pass that we've got right here. But more on the other drivers in the midfield, Kunal. I want to speak about Pierre Gasly before we end up. This was, I think, the first time that we saw his dream run of qualifying ended this year, Pierre Gasly, if not qualifying in the top 10. That ended in Silverstone, by the way. I'm very intrigued. Gasly has been having some great qualifying results, but the AlphaTauri, it's a less spoken about car. Obviously, it's a sister team of Red Bull, so it won't get as much of spotlight. But I've been intrigued, and many people online have also been intrigued about what's going on right there. Why have they got such awesome qualifying pace? Even Tsunoda, by the way, looked pretty decent in the last couple of rounds, but just no conversion at all.
It's a question that AlphaTauri is best placed to answer, and it could well be that they started the season fairly strong. Let's remember, but the other teams have probably outdeveloped them. It could be one of those reasons as well. And AlphaTauri has a place within the Red Bull ecosystem, and I don't think if you ask Dietrich, where did they finish last year in the Constructors' Championship. Maybe he doesn't remember that. So that's that. But yes, Pierre Gasly, definitely a driver to watch, as he hopefully bounces back. And, I'm certain he will, because we all have sort of these blips in what we do in life. And he probably just went through that at Silverstone.
Absolutely, but there is going to be no blip in the viewership, that is for sure. This is going to be a blockbuster weekend, and I won't let you go, Kunal, before we've got predictions. Now, it's the last round of the Pits To Podium Grand Prix prediction competition because, of course, the summer break is right here. So, we haven't done this for a few weeks. Time to put ourselves on the spot. Top 3, Kunal. And of course, fastest lap.
Yes, so the news is just coming. Just coming, Soumil.
Okay.
That the stewards will not further follow up the Verstappen-Hamilton incident. They have judged that there is no significant additional evidence to penalize Hamilton more severely following Red Bull's request. And I'm reading parts of that, right? So the full focus is now to this Grand Prix weekend, which brings my prediction into focus. I think it's going to be a Red Bull win this weekend. But I'm actually more interested in seeing what Checo Perez is able to do, and Valtteri Bottas as well. Because guys, remember, we are going into the summer break. That's when the driver's silly season usually picks up, right? And both Red Bull and Mercedes have a vacant seat for 2022. And we don't know who's fighting for, Checo Perez's seat at Red Bull, but we definitely know that it's a Bottas versus Russell for the seat at Mercedes. So I know I've moved away from the whole prediction thing, but like I said, Red Bull all the way for me, Soumil.
Okay, good one. It's a battle to see who ends up at the lower of the two midfield teams, Alfa Romeo, Williams, if you know what I mean. But yes, it's going to be fun. My prediction's quite clear. I am very low down on the table, so don't follow me. But I'm going to go Verstappen, Hamilton, and Perez for this one. So that's my take. What is your take? Submit that by clicking on the link down in the description below. But folks, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Inside Line F1 podcast and Pits To Podium. You know the deal. Catch us right there on Sunday evening for our race review. But Kunal, thank you so much for being a part, and we shall see you in a short bit.
See you guys on Sunday. Thank you, Soumil.